Jimmie Johnson is a household name in NASCAR racing. On the track, he's a legend with 7 NASCAR championships and was the first driver to ever win 4 consecutive championships in a row. This put him in the elite club of champions alongside Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. But what about his life off the track? From his insane car collection to his charity work and net worth, he's formidable in every aspect of his life. Here are 10 little-known things you probably didn't know about Jimmie Johnson, and we've got to say that number 2 is our favorite. Number 10, racing roots. Born in El Cajon, California on September 17, 1975, Jimmie began his racing career at 5 years old. It all started with dirt bike racing, and by the time he was 8, he'd won a 60cc class championship. He then turned his attention to racing vehicles with 4 wheels and started off-road racing. Johnson competed in various leagues, including the Short Course Off-Road Drivers Association, and won 6 championships, including the honor of being Rookie of the Year in every league he was a part of. In 1998, he took the American Speed Association by storm and was named Rookie of the Year. This was the same year he started racing in NASCAR's Busch Series, where he finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year standings. Jeff Gordon saw the potential in Jimmie, and when Herzog Motorsports lost its sponsor in 2000, he recommended Jimmie Johnson to owner Rick Hendrick. 2 years later, he made it to NASCAR's Sprint Cup Series, where he won 6 championships. And Gordon also introduced Chandra, whom Jimmie's been married to for over 20 years, back in 2002. We'll talk about that later, though. Number 9, cameo appearances. Besides being an incredibly successful race car driver, Jimmie Johnson has had his fair share of cameo appearances. Appearing as himself, Jimmie played an adult driving a Cadillac toy car in the sitcom Superstore. Jimmie races alongside a child who also has a toy car and forces him to smash into a pile of boxes for comedic effect. He also had a cameo in Disney's Herbie Fully Loaded with other famous NASCAR drivers, including Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and Dale Jarrett. This was a major film with Hollywood actors including Lindsay Lohan, Matt Dillon, and Michael Keaton. What was Jimmie doing in the movie? Well, he was racing, of course, along with Jeff Gordon in a comedic back-and-forth conversation about Herbie winking at them. It's a cute segment to the classic story of the little car that could. Number 8, man of many talents. Jimmie Johnson was named Male Athlete of the Year, which is unheard of. He was actually the first NASCAR driver to receive the coveted Male Athlete of the Year by the Associated Press in 2009. His health and wellness journey began in 2007 with the intention of getting in the best shape of his life. He has become a transformational figure when it comes to a race car driver's physical fitness. Jimmie is a fanatic when it comes to his health and incorporates a healthy diet, especially during championship times for peak performance. And he doesn't only race cars either, as he's competed in many half marathon and triathlon events. He even completed the Boston Marathon in 3 hours, 9 minutes, and 7 seconds back in 2019 and said it was one of the hardest things he's ever done. Number 7, ex-basketball team owner. By 2006, Jimmie had made some decent cash from his racing success, becoming part of an elite list of NASCAR drivers that made him extremely wealthy. Anyone making big cash is going to look at investing their money, and one of the ways he did was he became a co-buyer of a basketball team. Jimmie decided to invest close to home with Hollywood fame. Now, this was a team that was set to play in the American Basketball Association and was a venture put together by celebrities like Nick Lachey. Other investors included fellow race car driver Brian Vickers, Brady Anderson from Major League Baseball, and NFL quarterback Kyle Bowler. Now, this wasn't his most successful investment, as the team never went anywhere and is now defunct. Number 6, art lover. Jimmie Johnson and his wife Chandra share a mutual fondness for art. In fact, Chandra founded and owns the SoCo Art Gallery in Charlotte, North Carolina. This contemporary art gallery was established in 2015 and brings museum-quality artists to the local community. Chandra and Jimmie are avid art collectors, and their home is full of beautiful things. They collect vintage furnishings from important designers of the past, including Serge Mouillet and Gio Ponti. They also have art pieces by Joan Mitchell and Joel Shapiro. When traveling the world, Jimmie and Chandra have picked up art to create a comfortable, sophisticated atmosphere in their home. Number 5, car collection. Jimmie has some rare vintage vehicles he holds near and dear, and it's not just cars either. Jimmie's collection of vehicles is an homage to his past. He has pretty much raced anything with a motor and has some special remnants of his past. He has held on to a 1979 Suzuki JR50 since receiving it as a gift when he was just 4 years old. He also owns a Super Light, which is the first 4-wheel vehicle he raced, and says it's something he likes to hold on to for sentimental value. To satiate his need for speed, he's got a '67 Chevy Camaro SS. It's been beautifully beautifully restored and passed down through 3 generations. The SS is the super sport model that comes with a massive V8 engine, giving it serious muscle car cred. He also has a 1951 Mercury, which was the first car he ever had, and it comes with a set of fuzzy dice hanging from the rear view. Number 4. His idol. As a boy, Jimmie's idol was Cale Yarborough, a legendary NASCAR driver. The first time Jimmie went to a Hardee's restaurant at age 8, he was sure he would run into him. The reason for this was because Yarborough's car had Hardee's painted on the quarter panels. He was shocked that there wasn't even a picture of him in the restaurant. Jimmie was in awe of drivers like Cale, and during an interview, he explains why. "I mean, those guys were true studs. Not only do I think of no air conditioning, but the seats they were sitting in. They didn't have any headrest. The helmets were heavy. They called them fireproof suits, but I doubt they really were. Those guys were true men." Jimmie was inspired by Yarborough and his domination of NASCAR. As a kid, Yarborough had already won 3 consecutive Cup championships. Fast forward 30 years later, and Jimmie tied Cale's winning streak, which is something no other racer managed to do before him. Eventually, Jimmie would surpass his idol and win 4 consecutive championships in a row. Cale Yarborough has great things to say about Jimmie and even kept track of his racing stats when Jimmie was just starting out. Cale saw a lot of himself in the way Jimmie raced and believed that this would be the guy who would finally match his winning streak. And he was right. Number 3. Charity work. Jimmie Johnson gives his time and money to a variety of charities. He launched the Jimmie Johnson Foundation in 2006 and has since contributed over $13 million to organization and public schools. Their foundation has assisted children, families, and communities that are in need throughout the U.S. Jimmie raced at the Checker Auto Parts 500 in support of the American Red Cross in 2007 for the sake of wildfire relief in California, his home state. In cooperation with his longtime sponsor Lowe's and his team Hendrick Motorsports, Jimmie aimed to generate funds for the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. Lowe's donated $100,000 and additionally donated $48, which is Jimmie's car number, for every lap Jimmie completed. Jimmie personally donated his purse as well. Number 2. Net worth and lifestyle. Jimmie Johnson has accumulated some serious wealth as one of the most successful NASCAR drivers during his long career and has a net worth of $160 million today. Drivers who win championships like him make a lot of money. He earned an estimated $300 million throughout his career and made some fun purchases with the cash, including his Gulfstream G150 jet. He's also made money making appearances in video games, TV shows, sports broadcasting, and movies. He even made money through lucrative sponsorship deals with Gatorade and Seiko. And with the wealth he had accumulated, he was able to purchase a NASCAR Cup Series team, Legacy Motor Club. Jimmie and his family have 2 pads, the Charlotte Mansion, which is their home base, and then there's a Manhattan apartment, which is valued at over $14 million. While it's a mystery as to how much their mansion is worth, it's something they've held on to since 2004. After Chandra moved in, she gave the whole place a makeover. High-profile architects and interior designers were hired to give this mid-century home a new look, and with Chandra's love for art, the home is a slow lane approach to life with luxurious furnishings and embellished features. And number 1, partner. Jimmie Johnson found the right person to settle down with at the early stages of his career. Perhaps he can even thank some of his greatness to his harmonious marriage. After all, they say behind every good man is a good woman. Jimmie's been married to Chandra Janway for nearly 20 years. Chandra was born in Oklahoma and earned a degree in business communications there. She was also a model for the Wilhelmina agency in New York City. Jimmie and Chandra were introduced by NASCAR legend Jeff Gordon in 2002, and in 2003 he proposed. 1 year later, they were married. They have 2 little girls and created the Jimmie Johnson Foundation together. So, what do you think of Jimmie Johnson? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed our video, make sure you check out the next one that pops up on your screen and hit the subscribe button for more things NASCAR.